Jonathan Fix is suing his former friend, 23-year-old Mike Willem, for punching him at a bar. Mike says Jonathan was calling his sister disparaging names.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, it's case number 93 on the calendar, the matter of Fix versus Willem.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Willem, who is this young lady?
This is my sister.
Okay. Would you stand up, please? Move over to your brother. Your last name is?
Willem.
Tell me what relationship you had with Mr. Fix.
We were very good friends for several years.
Just friends?
Just friends.
Did you have a falling out?
Yes.
When?
It was in June of 2009.
Over what?
My roommate and I had some things that we had borrowed from him that he wanted back, and I guess we'd asked her for them back. Were not returned the day
what
he wanted
things?
them back. She borrowed a mattress from him, and then we also had a tuner for a television that he needed back for when he moved into his new house.
And he asked back and you didn't return them?
He asked her back for them, and I don't know what conversation took place there, and they were not returned the same day. The reason we had the falling out was that night he showed up at our house in the middle of the night, screaming, banging, obviously very drunk, demanding I open the door, calling me every name in the book, demanding I let him in.
Did you borrow the things or did your roommate?
We borrowed the TV tuner together.
What does that mean, together?
We borrowed it for our TV to use together.
Who asked him to borrow it?
I believe she did.
So she was his friend as well?
She was his friend as well, yes.
And who borrowed the mattress?
She did.
Well, then why would he be angry with you?
He just wanted his things back, and he knew that I was home. He could hear me. My bedroom window was above the front door, and it was open, and I was on the phone. I just found out I was pregnant that day, actually, so I was on the phone with someone, and he said, I can hear you. I know you're there. Come down and open this door right now. And it was the middle of the night. He was obviously belligerent, very drunk, and I said, I'm not opening the door for you. I'm not. If you want your things back, you can come back. I'm going to call the police. You can get your things back with the police.
Did he come and get his things back?
He left. I called the police.
Did he come and get his things back was my
Yes,
question.
Yes, he did.
When?
The next day.
Okay, so he got his things back?
He got his things back.
And since then you haven't spoken?
Have not spoken.
Now sit down.
Thank you.
So this is what your case is about. You met Mr. Willem, who you evidently knew through his sister, or at a bar.
Right.
And it is your claim that he assaulted you.
Right.
He says he didn't assault you. It's not his fault. You must have fallen when he pushed you because you were drunk, and you shouldn't have been saying bad things about his sister anyway. That's your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date did this incident take place?
March 4th, 2010, around 12:30 a.m.
Where?
At a bar called Mac and Charlie's in Boise, Idaho.
What time did you get to the bar?
About 12:25. I was literally in the bar for about 5 minutes. I had not.
Where had you been before?
I was at another bar. I had 2 drinks in the past 2 hours.
Just a second. Don't volunteer any information. I take you were at another bar.
Right.
Why did you leave the other bar?
Because we heard that it was quarter beer night at this other bar, which was cheaper than the dollar beer night that we were at.
What time had you arrived at the bar?
I arrived at about 11 p.m.
So why don't you tell me what happened, Mr. Fix?
Well, I walked into the bar, almost immediately saw Mike. We were both mutually glad to see each other and gave a big hug. And
how long have you known him?
Since I've known Bobby, a couple years. So we exchanged a big hug, and then I started explaining to him why his sister...
No, you're not explaining. What did you say to him? What did he say to you? Gave him a big hug, and then says, good to see you too.
Yeah.
And then somebody said something about his sister.
Right.
That had to be either you or him.
That was me.
What did you say?
I was explaining to him why...
No, what did you say?
I used the B word. I called her a...
What did you say?
I called her a... I shouldn't have done that. I apologize.
Just a second. I want to know what you said. Tell me what you said.
I was explaining the story about why her and I are no longer friends, which is because her story is that I was there.
No, listen to me.
Okay.
I want you to tell me what you said to the defendant.
Okay.
You hugged, he hugged you, good to see you, and then you just dove right in to telling him a story about his sister.
Right, because we hadn't seen each other for a while. Right.
He didn't ask you about his sister.
Right.
What did you say?
Well, I was explaining the story. I said...
is there something wrong with you? And if you don't remember, you say, I don't remember.
I do remember. I was telling the story about...
I don't want to hear I was telling the story. I want to hear...
Exactly.
I want to hear exactly what you said to him.
I said that his sister and I are no longer friends, and that it was because over a converter box that I went to her house. I had texted her and her roommate over the converter box for the week prior to the digital conversion. I was moving into a new house, and I wanted a converter box. And I went over, and I got no response from text messages or voicemails or whatever. I went over to her house. It was not in the middle of the day. I was actually on my way home from work, and I was not drunk. I knocked on the door. I got no response. I heard her inside on the phone. I'm like, I hear you on the phone.
Are you telling me the story, or is this what you're telling him?
I'm telling you.
I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
I want you to tell me what you said to the defendant on March 4th.
I said, you know, we're not friends anymore, and she's a...
That's what you said.
Yeah.
And what happened after you said that to him?
Well, I looked down on the ground, and then as I was looking up, I saw this hook come across me and punch me right in the jaw. I've got a picture of the wound if you'd like to see it.
I will in a moment. Now I know what he said to you. Your sister and I aren't friends anymore, and he used an unpleasant word in describing her.
2 unpleasant words.
2 together.
Yes, ma'am.
And that made you very
Angry.
angry. And what did you do?
I said, look, you know, I don't need to hear these things from you. Maybe you should just leave me to enjoy myself. No need to get in any problems.
And that's what you want me to believe you said to him.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't.
He called her in a C word. I told him he should leave and leave me alone.
Why didn't you just walk away?
I don't know.
Keep going.
He then wasn't too happy with me saying that and
He
lunged
wasn't
at
so
me.
happy with you saying what? You're making up a story.
He wasn't happy that I said he should leave and that he should leave me alone. He wasn't happy with my sister. He was drunk, in my opinion. He seemed very drunk, and he lunged at me to push me. And when he did, I then felt I could defend myself, so I
Good.
pushed him back.
Now I got your story, which I don't believe. Can I please see your photographs? Nice punch.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I never did punch him.
This didn't come from a fall.
That's all I know. He could have gotten that from someone else. I hadn't even been drinking, too, so...
Right.
And later today,
All that doesn't sound kosher to me, sir. What you're relaying to me doesn't sound as if it happened. So why don't you retool your answer to me? Retool it and make it truthful. Okay.
Jonathan Fix says former friend Mike Willem punched him in the mouth at a bar. Mike claims he only pushed Jonathan. It was after Jonathan pushed him first.
How many stitches did it take to close
5.
it? Mr. Fix, let me tell you that he's not allowed to put his hands on you in the way he did. And I don't believe his story. I believe he got very angry when you cursed at his sister. He came up, he gave you a hug. That's what you told me. You embraced each other. You hadn't seen each other in a long time. And according to you, the first thing that you did was you said to him, not friends with your sister anymore. She's a blank blank.
Right.
His reaction had to have been, especially after a few 25-cent beers, to punch you in the mouth.
Yes.
Not to say, would you please leave? I don't want to be with you anymore. Please leave. That would not be a normal reaction of somebody who's been at a bar for at least an hour and a half drinking and who has somebody calling his sister a series of names that are unpleasant and unkind after he's a little loose. The reaction and the evidence is that he punched you. Now, aside from the fact that the story that he's trying to tell me today was that he punched you in self-defense because you pushed him first. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I never did punch him.
This didn't come from a fall.
That's all I know. He could have gotten that from someone else. I hadn't even been drinking, too, so...
Right. I don't believe you, sir. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Oh, yeah, he was pretty drunk. He was pretty drunk.
It was very aggressive. He was drunk.
And I had just gotten there. I had 2 beers in me.
He called her a C word.
But I didn't use the C word.
I told him to leave. He felt that wasn't enough.
I just said the B word.
So he pushed me, and I pushed him back.
And I apologize.
I was drug out.
Yeah, don't call people's sisters a...
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Coleman versus Duns. Step forward, please.
23-year-old Brittany Coleman is suing her former friend, 18-year-old Gideon Duns, for a loan to secure a venue for a fashion show, bank fees, and the cost of a ticket to the show.
How old are you, Miss Coleman?
I'm 23 years old, ma'am.
What do you do for a living?
I actually was taking care of my grandmother as an in-home care provider.
So you're unemployed.
Right now, yes.
Did you go to school?
I do.
What kind of school do you go to?
A community college.
And what are you studying?
I'm studying for medical assisting.
How many credits do you take?
I'm currently enrolled in 9 for the summer.
Who supports you?
Right now, I support myself. I get unemployment for taking care of my grandmother.
You don't get unemployment for taking care of your grandmother.
Well, that's what it was from. My unemployment was from that.
So your grandmother had been paying you to take care of
Yes.
her, and then she fired you?
Not fired me. Someone else, another family member, is now currently taking care of her.
And how long were you taking care of her?
2 years.
Who's taking care of her now?
Her daughter.
That's not your mother.
No.
How much was she paying you?
It was from in-home supportive services, and they were paying...
What does it mean, in-home supportive services?
It's like an agency, a county agency, that pays you to take care of her.
What's wrong with your grandmother?
She has Alzheimer's.
So an agency paid by the government
Yes.
pays your grandmother,
Yes.
or pays whoever takes care of her.
Yes.
And that's what you were doing.
Yes.
Just getting the whole picture,
Okay.
which I now have.
Okay.
You still didn't tell me how much you were receiving from this agency.
It was $11.34 an hour.
How much a week?
It was about $1,400, $1,500 every 2 weeks.
Tell me about this alleged loan that you made to the defendant for a fashion show.
The defendant was a friend of mine, and he called me. He said he was having a fashion show in Sacramento, California, where we reside, and he said he was not able to pay for the place where he was having the fashion show, that he was short on ticket sales, and that his sales hadn't gone through, and everybody that was supposed to have bought a ticket had not, and so he was short. So he needed some money to help pay for the venue. So he called me one day and asked me if I had a bank account, and I told him that I did, and I asked why, and he explained to me that he needed me to take out some payday loans to help him pay for the venue. So on the day of September 29th of 2009, I told him that I would, and he said, under the stipulation that he would pay all the loans back by October 29th of 2009, that he would pay all the loans back in full, and that none of the money that was in my account would be removed or taken out, and that I would have nothing to worry about.
Go.
First off, what she is saying, there's some truth in parts of it, but in most part, there is no truth in it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
After you gave him money, which you claim was a loan, to get the venue, he charged you $25 for a ticket. Is that what you want me to believe?
Yes.
Yes, I don't.
Okay.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brittany Coleman says former friend Gideon Duns scammed her on a loan to secure a venue for a fashion show.
Go.
We did not meet till October because we actually met through a mutual friend of ours named Keela.
We met before October.
Don't interrupt him.
Okay.
So we met through a mutual friend, and she found out that I was a fashion designer. And we had similar interests. You know, she said that she wants to be a fashion designer and or an actress. So I said, okay, that sounds good. You know, she asked when was the fashion show, when would it take place? I gave her the dates. I said that yes, you know, it is true that I'm looking for, you know, investors, I guess you can say. And she said, well, since I'm into fashion, you know what I mean, can I help you out with it?
All that doesn't sound, let me tell you something, Mr. Duns, doesn't sound kosher to me, sir. Her story doesn't sound kosher either. But your story, what you're relaying to me, doesn't sound as if it happened. Those words were not expressed by this woman.
Okay.
Okay, so why don't you retool your answer to me?
Retool it, basically.
Retool it and make it truthful.
Okay. Well, what I said is true, you know, because what she's saying that we were already friends and I called her up.
Put your hand down.
Why would I call someone up, Judge, and say...
I don't answer your questions.
Okay.
I don't answer your question.
Okay, well, I'll restate it. I would never call anyone up to say, can you make some payday loans for me when at the time I was unemployed? My mother was taking care of all the expenses for the fashion show. So it sounds very, very untruthful that I would call her up before I didn't even know her and tell her to do this.
Tell me how it came about that she gave you any money. If you don't remember the exact conversation, say to me, I don't remember.
Oh, I do remember it.
Then tell me.
We were at a mutual friend of ours' house, and we were sitting there talking, and she actually introduced us. And we had the conversation that I am a fashion designer, and my friend said, well, tell her about the show that you're putting on. Explain to her about the show. She said that she wanted to help out. So I said, okay, what do you want to do as far as helping out? She said, well, what do you need help with? I said, I need help with the venue and with ticket sales. I gave her a portion of the tickets, and I had a portion of the tickets.
Okay. How many tickets did you give her?
I gave her 250 tickets.
Wow. And how many tickets did you keep?
250.
Do you have any of the tickets?
I have the flyer. The ticket was just a smaller thing like this.
Okay, can
I
see that,
actually have a copy of the ticket.
I'd like to see it.
Yes.
Okay, and how much money did she give you?
She gave me $800.
And what was the $800 for?
The $800 was to go towards some of the tickets and also the venue.
And when were you supposed to get to a break-even point?
I want to say it was like November 10th was the date that we met back up to see how many tickets we had both sold. She came back.
How many tickets did you sell?
I sold 150 tickets.
And how many tickets did she sell?
None.
Did she still have all the tickets in her possession?
I'm pretty sure she did because we were supposed to come back and see how many tickets she sold after I pushed the date back.
Ms. Coleman, where are the tickets that you had?
He never gave me any tickets, ma'am. He only gave me the one that I purchased, which was $25.
Why would you purchase a ticket from him?
Because he was a friend, and he told me that he was throwing a fashion show. So I was going in support of him.
When did you purchase the ticket? On what date?
I'm not sure of the exact date that I purchased the ticket.
Was it before or after you gave him money?
No, this is after.
After you gave him money?
Yes.
Which you claim was a loan to get the venue?
Yes.
Did him a big favor?
Yes.
He charged you $25 for a ticket. Is that what you want me to believe?
Yes.
Yes, I don't. Your whole story. I don't believe his either. I think it was something sort of a mix. Anyway,
the fashion show never actually took place, Judge, because the defendant never came on her part of the bargain. That's why it didn't take place, because this was a business venture that she decided to come up on with me. And when it was time to show face on what happened, on what took place, like where was the ticket sales, she brought nothing to the table. And as I pushed back the date and said, okay, let's meet again and see how many tickets you sold, there was an excuse of there's been a lot going on, so she still sold no tickets. And I understand the money that she's saying, you know, that she came out of pocket for, but let's speak about the money that I came, you know, out of pocket for.
How many investors did you have?
I actually had a total of 4.
How much money are you collecting now for unemployment?
I get $1,400 a month.
A month?
Yes.
And you get that because prior to that, you had been paid to take care of your grandmother
Yes.
by a state agency?
Yes.
And how long has your grandmother had Alzheimer's?
About 4 years.
Who took care of her before you?
Her daughter.
Which daughter?
The same one that's taking care of her currently.
And why did she stop?
Because she went off, she returned to school, and she wanted to take some other
And when she took off taking care of your grandmother, I assume she got unemployment as well?
Yes.
Goodbye. I don't believe you. Toodles. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy, Joseph claims Deputy Moeller was verbally abusive during a traffic stop.
Order. All rise.
That's case number 235 on the calendar in the matter of Moeller versus Nzunza.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Nzunza, the plaintiff is a police officer, and he gave you 2 tickets, moving violations. On what date?
February 11th, 2010.
It is his complaint that the complaint that you filed against him for rude conduct was unfounded. And while the police department conducted an investigation and found that the allegations were unfounded, that report will remain in his file. And he believes that since you maliciously filed that police report, he should be compensated. That's what your case is about,
Yes,
correct? Okay. So I'm going to start with you, since it's your report that's really the subject of this litigation. What time were you pulled over by Officer Moeller?
7:35 a.m., Your Honor.
Where were you going?
To work, Your Honor.
And I gather from your answer, sir, that you heard or saw Officer Moeller at some point and did not immediately pull over.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes.
How far did you travel before you pulled over?
Less than half a mile.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you're going to explain to me why you didn't pull over, irrespective of whether he was going to give you a ticket or whether you had done anything wrong. You saw him, and for half mile, which is quite a distance, you didn't pull over. You want to explain why?
Yes, Your Honor. There have been at least a half a dozen car crashes, including one fatality on Hesperia Road. When I saw his lights behind me, I was in the flow of traffic. He zeroed in on me, and there are various signs along that road that say no parking. I did not feel safe. I just did not think it was appropriate to pull over at that point. I was trying to avoid an accident, and so between 10 and 15 seconds, I ended up pulling over into a parking lot.
What did you get a ticket for?
I was cited for speeding and also failure to yield, Your Honor.
How fast were you going?
Somewhere between 57 and around 62 miles per hour.
And what was the zone?
45, Your Honor.
So there's no question you were speeding.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I'm going to jump for a moment. You also got a ticket for failing to pull over for an emergency vehicle, which clearly you did. Now, you could have pled guilty and paid both fines by mail. In order for you to appear, you had to plead not guilty.
Correct, Your Honor.
So you pled not guilty, and you appeared in court.
Yes. Can I explain something on that point?
No.
Okay.
When you appeared in court, did you have a hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you found guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, Your Honor.
So then I don't have to go into any of the particulars. A court already found you guilty, and you paid your fine. On what date did you go to court?
Around July. I'm not sure exactly what the date was.
July of 2010?
Yes, Your Honor.
On what date did you file the complaint that is the subject of this case?
The following day, Your Honor.
So you did not file a formal complaint in February?
I went down to the station, but not formally.
My question is, you did not file a formal complaint in February?
Correct.
March?
Correct.
April?
Correct.
May?
Correct, Your Honor.
June?
Correct.
The entire month of July until after the hearing?
Correct.
That doesn't sound good for you, Mr. Nzunza.
Okay.
So far, do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, I do.
You weren't offended enough to file a formal complaint until after you were found guilty. That would tick me off if I was an officer. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
You understand why?
Yes, I do.
Now, I want you to explain to me what it was between February 2010 and July of 2010 that somehow got you all worked up. You had February, March, April, May, June, and part of July, 6 months. What was it during that 6-month period, sir, that got you all worked up?
Although I...
Just a second. Make sure it's something that I'm going to find credible.
Okay, Your Honor. Well, I'm just going to tell you the truth. The same day after I received the 2 citations, I went down to his superior and spoke to the sergeant, and he received...
Don't tell me what you said to the sergeant.
No, I'm not.
Or what the sergeant said to you.
Okay, but he did hand me the complaint process guidelines.
So
and
you
procedures.
had the complaint process.
Yes.
Go ahead.
All I can say is that, you know, I'm a professional. I'm extremely busy. My boss...
Not an excuse.
Okay.
Now, do you think that if you had been found not guilty or if Officer Moeller failed to appear, you would have gone down and filed a complaint?
Yes.
I want to see the complaint you filed.
Yes, ma'am.
Because actually, this is going to be a very, very simple case for me to do. Why is this dated June 14th, 2010?
That must have been when I turned it in, Your Honor.
No, you crossed out a date and put in June 14th, 2010.
I had been...
There's a date crossed out.
Yes, ma'am. I had begun filling it out prior, and since time had passed by, I decided just to change the date because...
Hey, you told me that you didn't go down and file the complaint until the day after your trial, which is in July. This says June 15th.
I'm mistaken, Your Honor.
What do you mean you're mistaken?
I'm mistaken. My
About
trial,
what?
About the date of the trial. It must have been the day before that, Your Honor.
So it was in June?
Yes, ma'am. I apologize for the inaccuracy on that.
You see, it doesn't have much impact on you, sir, because all you did was go down and file something. It didn't have any impact on your career. It only had an impact on somebody else's career, so the date wasn't that important to you. We are beginning to understand each other, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You tell him you want him to change the color of the car because you say, my car is silver, it's not tan. Who cares? You were being a wise guy, a speeding wise guy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deputy Sheriff Brian Mueller says motorist Joseph Inzunza filed a false complaint against him, alleging he was verbally abusive during a traffic stop.
Now, was June 14th a work day or not a work day?
I believe it was a work day, Your Honor.
And you filed this complaint the next day. So did you take a little time off from work the next day to go down and file the complaint?
It just took about 10 minutes. It was during my lunch break.
My question to you was, did you take some time off to go down and file this complaint?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you were too busy February, March, April, May, and up until June 15th to file the complaint. All of a sudden, you find 2 days in which you have some spare time. That's interesting. We're beginning to understand each other, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Somebody else's career is just important as yours. What do you do for a living?
I'm a school psychologist.
Yeah. Your complaint first says that the officer came up, and when you finally did pull over, he was red-faced and he was screaming at you, when I tell you to pull over, you pull over. And you said, okay, that's what I'm trying to do. And he responded, if I don't think it's safe, I will tell you, now pull over. And then you pulled over into a parking lot.
Can I clarify?
Yes.
As I was entering the parking lot of the little country cafe, I pulled into the driveway and stopped because he immediately got next to my car. I rolled down my window and he started screaming his head off.
What did he say?
He said what I had written there, which was pull over.
What did he say?
He said, pull over. When I say stop, you pull over immediately.
Right. And?
Now, pull over.
And?
And I said, that's what I'm trying to do.
So you answered him back, and he said?
And then you motioned for me to pull over, so I pulled into a spot.
Now he pulls over. Come on, keep talking.
Okay, then I pulled into a parking spot, and then he parks behind me, blocking traffic of the driveway, and then he gets off his motorcycle and walks up to my vehicle.
Correct.
And then he comes into where my window would be, the frame of my door, and his face is in my car almost, and he's in my window and just screaming like a maniac.
No. I want you to tell me what he said.
He continued saying...
No, I want you to tell. So far, he hasn't said anything wrong. When I tell you to pull over, you pull over. And you probably said to him, I didn't think it was safe. And he says, I'll tell you if I don't think it's safe. When I tell you to pull over, you pull over. Perfect. Now tell me what he was saying to you.
He continued yelling.
Say.
Again.
What did he say?
He was saying the same thing. He was saying, pull over. When I said pull over, whenever there's an emergency vehicle behind you, you pull over immediately. I don't care if it's safe. I don't care if it's not. You pull over when I say. And then he stopped.
Just a second. Say that again, what you just said to me.
When there's an emergency vehicle behind you, you pull over. I don't care if it's safe. If it's not safe, I'll tell you to pull over.
No, now you're making it up as you're going along, because that's not what you say in your answer.
If you don't feel it's safe...
That's not what you say in your answer, sir.
He said, I don't care if you don't feel it's safe. I'll tell you when to pull over.
That's not what you even say here, sir.
I'm just trying to recall exactly what I wrote.
Well, you recall it better now, or you recall it better 6 months ago, is my question.
I recalled it better 6 months ago.
You recalled it better 6 months ago, when it was fresh in your mind. That's why you're supposed to file a complaint as soon as it happens, not when you're thinking about it later, when you're making it up as you're going along.
That was a mistake. What
you said was, in a quote, if I don't think it's safe, I will tell you. Now pull over. He didn't say to you, I don't care if it's safe or not.
Okay. I misquoted.
That's a big difference.
Yes, it is.
Well, that's why you're supposed to do things when they're fresh in your mind, not when you're mad because you were found guilty.
Okay.
Now, according to you, after he was finished yelling, he stepped back, took a deep breath, and began to audio tape our conversation. Now, when he began to audio tape your conversation, was he also rude to you?
He continued to be rude.
That's what I want to know. Tell me how he was rude when he was audio taping your conversation.
Well, he refused to change the color of, he wrote that the color of my car was tan, it's silver. He refused to change it to the correct color. And also because of the way he was yelling and screaming and treating me, I already was thinking about talking to his superior, so I wanted to know his name. So, but it looks like, you can't even read what it says. It says his name is Moeller, and it looks like it said M-U-F-R-A.
Did it have a shield number on it?
Yes, but I couldn't see it.
You couldn't see it?
I just couldn't, I mean...
Now, officer, all I want you to do is play for me when he starts to argue with you about changing the color of the car and your name. That I want to hear.
If you give me a moment, I'll get to that.
Absolutely.
Pull to the right. You do whatever you're gonna write, like Sir, thanks for your patience. Here's your information back. All right, you're inside an unsafe speed for road conditions 67 and a 45. Locked in on the laser at 253 feet south of where I was at. You're also inside for failing to yield to an emergency vehicle. Your court date is April 16th at 8:30. Night court is April 1st at 4 o'clock at the Victorville Courthouse. Need you to sign here in the red box. You're signing for the promise to appear. You are not admitting guilt by signing. Do you want to put the correct color of my car? It's not tan. Okay, that's fine. You want a computer or silver? Okay, you need to sign in the red box, sir. But the information's not correct. Okay. You can debate that in court. Things that are not correct? I mean, does this look tan? I don't know. In my glasses, it does. Sir, you need to sign in the red box. What does this say? M-C-U? Yes, that's my last name. You need to sign in the red box. Well, I know. Can I read something? I've explained to you what you're being cited for, so you need to sign in the red box, sir. M-U-L-E-R? I'm giving you a lawful order to sign in the red box. If you do not sign in the red box, you're going to go to jail for resisting, delaying, or obstructing an officer. You're going to get a copy of the citation, and you can review the citation. You were explained what you were being cited for. My name is right there. It's M-O-L-E-R. Thanks for your patience. You're free to go.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What I sort of found out here in California, everybody thinks that everybody else has to surround them with their arms and give them a whole bunch of kumbaya and love. I come from Brooklyn. If a cop's giving you a ticket, he doesn't give you a whole lot of loving along with the ticket.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deputy Sheriff Brian Moeller says motorist Joseph Inzunza filed a false complaint against him after a traffic stop. Joseph is alleging that Deputy Moeller was verbally abusive.
Now,
Your Honor, can I say one thing, reference the dates that he's incorrect on? The court case was on June 15th.
Yeah.
Mr. Inzunza filed the complaint. It's down here at the bottom on that same date at 1:47 in the afternoon. So he filed it the same day of the court case. And I have the subpoena here if you'd like to see that.
I would. Mr. Inzunza, did you go to court on April 16th?
Yes, I did.
What happened?
I wasn't sure that I was actually guilty of failure to yield because I felt I was just trying to be safe. So I just pled not guilty on that particular citation.
When you went to trial, did you go to trial on the speeding and the failure to yield?
Yes, both, Your Honor.
Both. So you had to have pled not guilty on both.
Yes, yes, you are correct.
Officer Moeller says that you filed the complaint, and he has a copy of it, and it's signed in on the same date that you were found guilty. So it wasn't the next day.
That was inaccurate. It was the same day.
You had a lot of inaccuracies, sir. You're a school psychologist, Mr. Inzunza?
Yes, Your Honor.
In what kind of school?
A high school, Your Honor.
You deal with boys and girls?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's assume you were counseling a 14-year-old freshman, and she went home and said to her mother that you inappropriately exposed yourself to her, which wasn't true. And they did an investigation. The investigation was unfounded, that this was a young girl who regularly makes those kinds of accusations if she wants to get out of class, if she wants an excuse for not doing something. You think that that would stay with you for a long time?
Yes, it would.
You think that that might affect the way the school system deals with you?
Definitely.
Even though it was unfounded?
Definitely.
That was unfounded. Now, let's assume that she made that kind of an accusation, and all you did was lean over her shoulder in a very innocent way, put your arm around and say, don't worry, everything is going to be okay. So she said it was inappropriate. And you had to go through an investigation because she said you inappropriately touched her. Do you understand where we're going, Mr. Inzunza?
Yes, I do.
Sometimes your conduct can affect somebody else's professional career, even though legally and within the workplace it's unfounded. It stays with you because people look at you differently. They view your progress differently. They view your promotion sometimes differently. They said, look, not founded, but you know, where there's smoke, sometimes there's fire. So if we have two choices, if we can promote Iannuzzi to something or somebody else, why should we get involved with somebody that had this inappropriate complaint, even though it was unfounded? We understanding each other, sir?
Yes, we do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to JudgeJudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now, what I find fascinating, Mr. Iannuzzi, is that you had this very well put together complaint that clearly you had it on the back burner for some time, and you could have filed it at any time.
Yes.
You chose not to file it until after you were convicted. That doesn't sit well with me.
Okay.
You got it?
I do understand, but because it was deemed unfounded doesn't mean that it's not valid. I mean, it's the
not
truth.
valid. He doesn't have to talk to you like your mother. Where do you live?
In Hesperia.
You know, because what I sort of found out here in California, and I'm not from California, everybody thinks that everybody else has to surround them with their arms and give them a whole bunch of kumbaya and love. You know, I come from Brooklyn. If a cop's giving you a ticket, he doesn't give you a whole lot of loving along with the ticket. And people out here in California seem to think that everybody's got to love you, including a cop giving you a ticket. I don't understand that. I mean, I think that his tone to you was clip and lacking warmth and empathy, but unprofessional? No way. You tell him you want him to change the color of the car because you say, my car is silver, it's not tan. Who cares? You were being a wise guy, a speeding wise guy. So what do you want from him, Officer Mola?
Well, Your Honor, I think he should pay the full $5,000. This stays in my file for 7 years. I've been a deputy sheriff for 5 years. 5 years is when we start the promotion process.
Have you ever had a complaint before?
Never.
In 5 years?
In 5 years.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy, 22-year-old Amy Dixon for vandalizing their cars and for stealing property.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 245 on the calendar in the matter of Downing, Wiedenheft versus Dixon.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. How you doing, Judge?
Good.
Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Your name is?
Lance Wiedenheft.
This was your girlfriend for a while?
Yes, ma'am.
And Miss Downing, this was a dear friend of yours for a long time. It is your claim that she has some property that you loaned to her.
Yes, ma'am.
You want it back. And additionally, that she damaged, because she had a tiff with the two of you about something, that she damaged both of your cars. You want to tell me when and where this happened?
Yes, ma'am. On March 13th, Amy was out with her mother, and she came back to the house. She texted Lance saying that she was...
What house did she come back?
My house.
Was she living with you?
Yes, ma'am.
How long had she been living with you?
She actually, in January, she gave me a phone call and said that she cheated on her husband and she was pregnant, and he kicked her out and she had no place for her and her 2 kids to go. So my fiance and I allowed her to come and stay with us for a little bit to try to help her get her back on her feet. And about a month after she lived with us, she ended up contacting the neighbor next door and moved next door. And
moved next door
to our condo.
When you moved into the other apartment, who did you rent that from?
I was under the understanding that her boyfriend, Brendan, was part of the condo, like board or whatever they call it, and I was under the assumption that I could stay in that condo and they were going to protect me and I could stay there for a couple months.
So what you're telling me is you were a squatter in a vacant apartment?
They were supposed to be taking care of me.
Listen to me. How old are you?
22.
How many children do you have?
2.
You have a husband?
No.
Did you have a husband?
At the time, yes.
Nobody else was supposed to take care of you, so you were a squatter in an empty apartment.
They were renting it to me.
They were renting it to you even though they didn't own it?
Right.
Now you can stand. Move. You're the fiancé?
Yes, ma'am.
You're part of the homeowners association?
I am on the condo board, yes, ma'am.
Very good. This empty apartment, what was the unit number?
The unit number is 18, ma'am.
And what is your unit number?
20, ma'am.
Who owns unit 18?
It would be an owner of Shlogovic. He's in Italian.
He's in Italian.
Yes,
and where does he live?
Fort Lauderdale, ma'am.
So he doesn't live in this unit?
No, ma'am.
Who contacted him in Fort Lauderdale about Miss Dixon moving into his empty apartment?
Miss Dixon stated to us that she had contacted him and gotten a key from him and then
From
moved
him?
in. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Up. Put your hand down. Okay. So Miss Dixon was a squatter.
Correct.
In an empty apartment.
Correct.
That you knew was going to be empty because the owner lives in Fort Lauderdale.
Correct.
Sit. You would get to it eventually. Now, how many months did you live in this apartment?
About 8 weeks.
Was it empty of furniture when you moved in?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you sit on?
At the time, Melinda and her boyfriend had extra
What
furniture.
did you sit on when you moved in?
Their furniture.
What furniture?
Their extra furniture that they had put in storage.
What furniture requires a sofa, a chair, a bed? Name the furniture.
Couches.
Couches, how many?
2.
What else?
That's it. Everything else after that point I had gotten myself.
From where?
Like the used furniture stores.
2 couches, what about a television?
The television she had given to me.
I just asked you where you got it from. So you've got 2 couches and 1 television from Miss Downing.
Mm-hmm.
What else did you get from Miss Downing?
Little knickknacks.
Knickknacks like what?
Like candle holders and placemats.
What about a bed?
No.
Where did you get the bed from?
I didn't have a bed.
Where did your children sleep?
They had their little kids' mattresses.
Where'd they get them from?
My mother.
Lance was actually living with her at the time, and she did not have anything for her boys to sleep on. They actually slept on the floor or the couch.
You were living with her?
I still had my own place back up in Stewart, though. I was just staying down there. We were getting in a relationship. I was staying there for about a month, and then things went bad.
What did you sleep on when you stayed with her?
I brought my own mattress down. I had an extra mattress, an air mattress I brought down for us to sleep on. And they slept usually on the couch.
The 2 children?
Yeah.
Now, Miss Dixon, where are the 2 couches?
When I left the condo, I left them there.
Did you ever come back for them?
No.
What about the TV?
The TV was never... The TV was broken, and I left that.
What did you do with it?
I left it there.
There were 2 TVs, and she damaged one of them, and the second one she did take with her.
No.
Okay. Now, I want somebody to tell me, did you retrieve the couches?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
They, one couch was stained extremely bad.
Fine, so you didn't retrieve it?
Correct.
That's your problem. Now, was your boyfriend living with you, your fiancé living with you at the time that he allowed Miss Dixon to be a squatter in this apartment?
He didn't allow her to
Sure
stay
he did.
there.
He gave me the key.
Sure he did. Absolutely did. No question in my mind, he did.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They took away your children, so you take care of his children when he's working, and your brother is taking care of your children court-placed. Is that what you're telling me? In the state of Florida.
And later today,
You think you're smarter than me?
No.
These idiots think they're smarter than me? Huh?
Wiedenheft claim Amy Dixon vandalized both of their cars and refuses to return furniture and clothing.
Okay. When did you stop dating Miss Dixon?
What was it? March 13th.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding that, sir.
Well, I was working a lot, and it was late. I was working, and she called me. She was going out drinking. Within a month, I really don't want to put up with a girl that just goes out drinking without me whenever to bars. So I said, I'm not putting up with this. I'm going to go grab my stuff, and, we'll talk later. And she was, intoxicated or whatever. So I was working. I was done. Go grab my stuff and put it in my car, and then I went next door to their house. And that's when she came back all drunk and mad, trying to call me. I wouldn't talk to her because I don't want to deal with that.
Listen to me carefully. Where were her children?
A babysitter was at the house.
The state has not taken her kids away.
How old a babysitter?
She was 16.
Yeah, she was young.
Doesn't he speak?
Sorry.
Is there something wrong with him?
Sorry.
What was the name of the babysitter? Do you know?
I don't recall.
Her name was Heather.
Are your 2 children still with you, Miss Dixon?
No, ma'am.
Where are they?
They are with my brother.
Are they court-placed with your brother?
Yes.
And where does your brother live?
In Daytona Beach.
When did the court place the children with your brother?
3 months ago.
Were you court-ordered into any program?
No, ma'am.
Well, what do you have to do in order to get your children back?
I had to do 12 hours of anger management, domestic violence classes, and batterers classes, and I had to take a 6-hour parenting program.
Did you take the parenting program?
Yes, I completed everything.
So when are you going to get your children back?
September 27th.
And who is this?
This is my boyfriend.
Is he the father of either one of these children?
No, ma'am.
Are you living with him?
Yes, ma'am.
Does he have children?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
3.
How old?
10, 5, and 2.
Who do they live with?
Us.
Great. So they took away, I just trying to wrap my head around this. They took away your children, so you take care of his children when he's working, and your brother is taking care of your children court-placed. I just get my head around the basics of this. Is that what you're telling me? In the state of Florida? Okay. You want to get to the damage to your car on March 13th?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm looking at him, not you. Go.
Well, on March 13th, like I said, I broke up there, went and got my stuff, went next door, was just relaxing. She kept calling me, I wouldn't answer. Didn't want to talk to her, she was intoxicated. I don't need that. So she texted me saying she was going to mess up my car if I didn't talk to her. So we heard the window break.
Not we.
Well,
you.
Yeah, I heard.
I mean, I just want to know if you didn't hear it, then I'll hear from another witness.
Yeah. No, I heard the window break. Melinda went out front to see what was going on. I didn't want to go out.
Who went out front?
I did.
Melinda.
Okay. Miss Downing, when you went out front, what did you see?
I went downstairs and I saw Amy throwing rocks, and it was hitting Lance's windshield, and she was screaming and yelling, and she proceeded to then attack her mom, and then after she attacked her mom, she came after me. And
what was your mother doing there?
My mother was visiting for the weekend, and I did not attack my mother.
Just a second. Your mother was listen to me carefully, Miss Dixon.
Yes.
Very carefully. Your mother was visiting you for a weekend. Mm-hmm. Where was your mother on the evening of March 13th?
She was with me.
Where had you been?
Me and my mother went out to dinner.
So you and your mother went out to dinner, leaving the children home with Heather.
Right.
Got it. And what time did you and your mother get home?
About 11 o'clock.
That's a long dinner.
We left at like 8:39.
That's a long dinner.
My mom and I haven't spoken months.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
they don't rent you a car with a United States Uniformed Services card, identification and privilege, that you can buy on 14th Street in Manhattan. Do we understand each other?
Valid United States military
do we understand each other?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melinda Downing and Lance Wiedenheft claim Amy Dixon vandalized both of their cars and refuses to return furniture and clothing.
Okay. Can I see an estimate for the glass on your windshield, please?
Can I also have pictures of this windshield?
I'd like to see it. Okay. Now, I want to know what damage you claim to your car.
Amy came back on April 3rd and actually keyed the side of my car when she came back to get the rest of the belongings.
Well, tell me about that, please.
We were actually not at the house. We have a video camera set up
to prove that I did it.
And
up. When you say you have a video camera,
just like threatening. I don't have actual proof showing that she did it.
She probably did it, but it's very hard to prove unless you bring me the video. Do you understand? Okay. Now, aside from the two couches that I gather are old stained couches, what items do you claim she stole from you?
She stole 2 couches.
No, forget couches.
2 TVs.
Forget TVs.
A side table.
What side table?
And my clothes.
Forget your clothes. What side table?
It was just a side table put in between the couches.
Did you take that with you?
No, ma'am.
That's all nonsense. You owe him $181 to fix his windshield. Do you understand?
I didn't break his windshield.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Sure you did. So you have to pay for his windshield. But that's it. I would suggest that you concentrate your time, Miss Dixon, on getting your children home. From no children to 5 children is a big step. Do we understand each other, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand. You have to do what's right for your children. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't there a question in your mind if the state has intervened to take away children? So whether or not this is an appropriate caretaker for your 2 young children?
I know she's a good caretaker. I've been around her.
So the state of Florida was incorrect?
I think so, yes.
Why do you think the state of Florida removed? Do you think that there was a conspiracy with her brother?
No.
Well, tell me why you think the state of Florida...
There were some accusations against her that she wasn't being a good mother.
Like what?
That's what her ex-boyfriend or her husband or whatever said, is from what I hear.
You mean you think that the state of Florida is going to remove children based upon accusations from an ex-husband?
Yes.
Has the state of Florida been to your home for a home visit?
No.
So the caseworker is aware, to your knowledge, or unaware, that Miss Dixon is caring for other young children?
I'm not sure. I haven't spoke with her caseworker.
Oh, goodbye. You owe him $181. State of Florida is now aware. It's up to the state of Florida. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm ready to move on.
I just hope Amy learns her lesson from everything after this.
Her boyfriend actually handcuffed me and pushed me down the stairs.
I'm a criminal justice major.
Then I'll never hear from her again.
I'm going to be now more aware of what I allow people to come into my home and do now.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Castro versus Ahmed, step forward.
Margaret Castro is suing her former friend, Basim Ahmed, for unpaid rental car fees.
Ms. Castro, is your claim that the defendant owes you money for a rental car that you rented in your name for him?
Correct.
All right. And you know him for how long?
Since we were children, we lived across the street from each other.
And from what company did you rent this car for him?
Dollar Rent-A-Car.
Dollar?
Yes.
I'd like to see the contract.
This is a bill and everything that Dollar...
I don't want a bill. I want the contract that you signed for the car from Dollar.
I have it. It's in my purse.
Perfect. Get it.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to JudgeJudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
All right, Ms. Castro, now I'd like to see the rental agreement. What's your name?
Margaret Castro.
Well, that's not who this is.
Oh, Margaret Machine. I have 2 last names. I'm married.
Did you sign this?
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to read what it says under additional drivers. What does it say, additional drivers?
There's not supposed to be no additional drivers.
Excuse me?
There's not supposed to be any additional drivers.
That's what it says. You think I'm going to compensate you because you gave him a car when you told Dollar Rent-A-Car that there were going to be no additional drivers and he doesn't have a driver's license?
Well, when we rented the vehicle, he showed me a valid driver's license, and also I had retaken the car away from him.
I want you to show me your valid driver's license in the name Castro.
It's in my purse. Can I go back?
Yes. Show me a valid driver's license in the name Castro. Yeah.
Can I say something?
No. Not to worry, good. Sir, you look like you're really going to come out on top on this case. Don't speak.
You're talking to me.
You think you're smarter than me?
No.
These idiots think they're smarter than me?
Idiots?
Huh?
Idiots. Who's an idiot?
Valid driver's license in the name Castro. Valid driver's license in the name, whatever the name on the contract is.
I have a million.
Yep. Give it to me. You think you're smarter than I am?
No.
Goodbye. Let me explain something to you, madam. According to your complaint, which I read very carefully, you had an agreement with the defendant to rent a car for him. You rented a car for him, according to you, and he was supposed to pay you for it. And you also told the car company that you were going to be the only driver, whether your name was Castro. And this is not a valid driver's license. This is an identification card. That's different. We understand each other. They don't rent you a car with a United States Uniformed Services card, identification of privilege, that you can buy on 14th Street in Manhattan. Do we understand each other?
That's a valid United States military license.
Do we understand each other? Very good. Goodbye, Miss Castro.
No, but wait a minute.
Goodbye.
No.
All these are excused. You may step out.
So what happened now?
Out the back door to your right. That's what happened.
Bert, I want to tell him.
And the loan.
Quiet. I want to tell you what happened, sir. You won.
Thank you.
Out the back door to your right.
Wait a minute. What about the loan and the tickets that he owes me?
Pay them.
Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Yes, case number 241 on the calendar, the matter of Casno versus Salinas.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Casno, facts of the case are relatively simple and not in dispute. What kind of a car do you own?
Wasn't his, a 2006 BMW 325i.
And you brought it to the defendant's shop for the purposes of doing some repairs.
Correct. The vehicle had been vandalized and needed body work.
Brought it to Mr. Salinas' shop and you left it there. On what date did you leave it there?
The 20th of March, 2010 at about 8:15 in the morning.
Is that correct so far, Mr. Salinas?
That's correct.
Then your car was involved in a hit and run.
Yes, Your Honor.
On what date?
The same day.
Do you know what time?
I'm going to say roughly 7:30, Your Honor. I wasn't there.
In the evening?
In the evening.
How were you notified that your car was involved with a hit and run?
Well, my wife and I were at home and heard a loud knock at our front door, looked out, and there was a Los Angeles Sheriff's deputy at the door. He demanded to know my name and where my car was, and I subsequently learned that the vehicle had been involved in a hit-and-run accident.
Do you know what kind of a hit and run?
Again, I'm getting this...
Involving a pedestrian and another car?
No, it was another vehicle, Your Honor. I have the driver of that other vehicle in court with me.
Stand up, please. Tell me your name.
Stephanie Delgado.
You were involved in an accident on the 20th of March?
Yes, I was the other driver that hit the BMW.
You hit the BMW?
Well, he was making an unsafe left turn, and I was going straight on Sepulveda, and I guess he was going to get into a car accident with the car in the right lane, but he stepped on he was trying to step on the brake, and once I viewed the whole scene, I tried stopping, but I couldn't. I hit the car, stepped out of the vehicle to check if the other driver was fine. Once I approached the vehicle, it was like gonna flee the scene, so I approached it and it took off with me. So
what do you mean it took off with you?
Like it dragged me.
Car dragged you?
Yes.
How far?
Like less than a block, like around the corner, kind of.
Were you injured?
Yeah, both knees. I had a back contusion, hip contusion, my ankles. I have pictures if
I'd
you
like
want
to see
them.
There are also photos of her vehicle.
My vehicle. I'd like to see that. Did you see the driver of the car?
Yes, it was a Hispanic driver, and small world, a friend of mine is actually cousins with the driver.
You know the driver's name?
I gave the whole information to my detective that was taking care of my case. So she
Did they arrest the driver?
No, they were never capable of finding the driver. I actually have a sheet that states that they were never capable of finding who was a real driver or any information based on the driver.
But you knew who it was, or somebody you knew?
Yes, because my friend had approached me and she told me so.
You can't tell her what anybody told you. Okay. And Mr. Salinas, there was lots of damage done to the plaintiff's BMW. Thank you. You can sit down now. You say it's not your responsibility. I'm ready to hear that. You own the body shop that accepted his car.
Right.
Somehow his car got off your lot and was involved in an accident.
Right.
So it was being driven in an unauthorized manner.
Yes.
You explain to me why that's not your fault.
First of all, the vehicle, when this guy took the vehicle, I was not in the shop.
I don't care whether you were in the shop or if you're on Mars.
Well, this guy, he doesn't work for me.
I don't care whether he doesn't work for you either.
The only problem that I see right here, it was my fault.
I don't care what you see.
Insurance.
Listen to me. I don't care what you see. You own a body shop.
Right.
You accepted his car for the purpose of repairing it, which is what your body shop is for.
Right.
Once you take his car into your shop, you are responsible for it. Now, I assume you have insurance. In this case, someone got the keys to his car.
Right.
That's as a result of your negligence, either yours or one of your employees.
He was not my employee.
Just a second. Somehow, Mr. Salinas, I believe, sir, that you're confused, and I'm trying to explain it to you. But you're going to have to do something that God really was gifted about. He gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Right.
So I want you to put on your 2 ears and listen with your 2 ears. One way or another, either because you gave someone the car keys or you allowed the car keys to be placed in a place where they could be taken by somebody in an unauthorized manner, it's your fault. You are responsible for the safekeeping of that car and its keys. If a burglar comes into your store and you have the keys locked up in a safe so that you have done everything that you can to safeguard those keys, maybe you could say, well, I can't be responsible because I've done everything that I can to safeguard those keys. I put them in a safe when I left my business. I locked them up. Someone came in with dynamite, opened up the safe, and took the keys. But that's not what happened.
Well, I can say I'm not responsible if anybody brings to my place and takes a car. I'm responsible not having insurance, but not somebody trying to steal a car in my property.
Listen to me carefully. You were negligent. You or your employee was negligent. It
was not my employee.
2 ears, 1 mouth, 2 ears. You or one of your agents left his keys in such a place that somebody got access to them and took his car. You are responsible for that because it's your place of business.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I mean, are you thick or what? I'm telling you, I'm the lawyer.
Right.
Unless you went to law school, sir, and practiced law for 40 years, you have to rely on my judgment. That's why you're here.
And later today,
I was downstairs and I wake up to hearing the mother of my child cursing out my little girl, saying, wait, and she's holding my little girl up by 1 leg, so just the top of her head's touching the ground because she wouldn't hold still when she was trying to change her diaper.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Casno says auto body shop owner Eric Salinas owes for the cost to repair his BMW. Robert says the car was stolen and wrecked while in Eric's possession.
What else?
There's an additional issue that I have a traffic collision report where the defendant apparently told the investigators that it was his employee that had taken the car.
Listen to me. It doesn't make any difference.
It makes a big difference because I was harassed by the police after that.
It doesn't make a difference. You permitted his car to be taken off your lot. I mean, are you thick or what? Listen to me. Have you ever been to a lawyer?
Yeah.
Just a second. I'm going to try to get back to its basics for you, Mr. Salinas. What have you been to a lawyer for?
For different reasons.
Did you pay the lawyer money?
Yes, I did.
You paid the lawyer money for their expertise.
Right.
For their advice to you. You have never been to a lawyer that's smarter than I am. So what I'm trying to do, this is not a conversation we're having, Mr. Salinas. Right. I'm telling you what the law is. And you keep arguing with me. How stupid you would be to go to a lawyer. Listen, ears, Mr. Salinas. It would be the same thing if you went to a lawyer, gave him $5,000 to represent you in a business matter, and asked his advice, and he told you, and you're having a fight with him. Why would you pay a lawyer to have a fight with them? You're paying the money because you know that they're smarter than you are I can't fix a carburetor in a car and I can't get a ding out of the door, I would go to Eric, because that's your business and that's your expertise.
Right.
This is not a discussion you and I are having. The facts are very simple. It's your responsibility. I'm telling you that as a lawyer.
Well,
that's my listen to me. That's my training. If somebody said to you, brought their car into you and you said, listen, it needs 2 coats of paint and it needs to be buffed out and it'll be good as new. And the person said, no, you can't do it. You have to buff it out 4 times and you have to take the paint off and you have to use a primer on it. You'd say to them, listen, you want to do that? Go to somebody else. I'm telling you, this is my expertise. This is what you have to do to get your door looking brand new. I'm telling you, I'm the lawyer. Right. Unless you went to law school, sir, and practiced law for 40 years, you have to rely on my judgment. That's why you're here. I'm telling you, it's your responsibility. You did not safeguard his car. You allowed the keys to that car to fall into the hands of someone who drove it in an unauthorized way, without his permission, while it was in your custody. The law says it's your responsibility. Well, he's going to answer me again. No. He's going to answer me again. I don't understand it. Could I have been nicer? Could I have been nicer?
You did everything.
I did everything I could. I really did everything I could.
For the same reason I offered to fix a car for free.
Be quiet, Mr. Salinas.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I told her all I wanted to do was give my little girl a kiss and that I was going to leave.
What did you do?
I tried to get into her room and she...
And what did you do?
I broke down the door.
That's where you go when you broke down the door.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Casno says auto body shop owner Eric Salinas owes for the cost to repair his BMW. Robert says the car was stolen and wrecked while in Eric's possession.
Now, I don't think that you drove the car that collided with his car that dragged her for a block. I don't think you did that at all. I don't care whether you did it. The car was your responsibility until he picked it up after you fixed it. You're an insurer for that car's safety. And if you, an employee, somebody else, negligently leaves the keys around so that somebody can take it, and they drive it, and they have an accident with it, it's your fault. And if instead of injuring her, it had killed her, she would sue your company, and she would win. And the fact that you may not have insurance is your problem, not my problem. How much it cost to fix your car?
Total out of pocket was $5,161.34.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't got nothing to say.
Obviously, I'm glad I was able to get some compensation for my losses.
Mr. Robert talked to the detective, and the detective, they tried to put something together.
I had not had the police harass him. I knew really nothing about it. I could really offer nothing to the police because I wasn't there when the accident happened.
The only thing that I feel guilty of was not having insurance at that time, but I'm not responsible for somebody can come and break in.
You got to do the best you can to try to protect yourself as a consumer, and sometimes can't always do everything.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Soletic versus Brodalla. Step forward, please.
Matthew Soletic is suing his child's grandfather, Richard Brodalla, for the cost to make renovations to his home. Richard is countersuing for the cost of a car engine and a broken door.
Mr. Soletic, I assume that you and this lady were in a relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
And this lady is the daughter of this gentleman?
Yes, ma'am.
And you and this lady have a child together, a girl?
Yes, we do.
So that would make this gentleman your daughter's grandfather?
Correct.
For a period of time, you lived in Mr. Brodalla's home?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
Along with your girlfriend?
Yes, I did.
And your daughter?
Yes, and her son.
You lived there from when to when?
From September of 2009 until April 11th of 2010.
And where did you live prior to September of 2009?
I had a house that I was renting in a different part of the city of Crystal.
And what happened to that house?
I wound up losing the house because I couldn't.
You got evicted?
Yes.
So when you got evicted from your old house, Mr. Brodalla took you in?
Yes, he did.
This is your lawsuit. Your lawsuit says while you were living there, you did a lot of renovations, a lot of construction in the house. You want him to pay you back for the materials that you put in the house because he kicked you out of the house after there was an altercation between you and his daughter.
I was not kicked out of the house. I was made to leave by the police. He never kicked me out. He just decided not to.
Somebody kicked you out. The police kicked you out.
Yes.
Because somebody called the police. Who called the police?
I believe it was Jessica, my daughter's mother.
Okay, and you want the materials. Mr. Brodalla says that that was not the agreement. He never told you he was going to reimburse you for the materials. He's got some nonsense counterclaim about some engine that you purchased for him way before you were even living with him. Right, Mr. Brodalla?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Brodalla, let's forget about that nonsense. Will you please? It's sort of irritating to me.
Ma'am, I actually did give Mr. Brodalla a large sum of money, not the entire amount, for the engine, but he gave the money back to me and told me to hang on to it, that he did not need the money, that I should use the money to start my life with what I thought would have been my family.
So how did you do that?
Excuse me? How did I do about
So
how I started my
how did you
life?
do that? If he gave you back the money and said, I want you to use it to get a start on your life,
to be
what
honest
did you
with
do
ma'am,
with it?
The money that I had that he had given back to me, I used to invest into a vehicle that I'm still trying to sell to this day. And
Wait,
I
just a
spent the
second.
rest of it right
Just
here.
a second. So you used it to invest in a vehicle.
Yes.
How does that start a new life with his daughter?
Well, to be honest with you, it's hard to convince someone to move out of their dad's house when he pays all of their bills and makes everything so easy for them. It's hard to convince them to move out into the real world and you know, have a...
Let's stop for a moment, sir. What was the rent that you were paying or not paying in the house that you got evicted from? How much rent was your share?
$450 a month.
And how much money did you pay Mr. Brodalla to live in his house?
I didn't pay him.
Listen.
As far as rent goes, I did not pay him any rent money.
So you paid him nothing?
No, I paid him quite a bit.
What'd you pay him?
I did quite a bit of work in his home for him, along with I offered to pay for quite a few things.
I'm asking you, Mr. Sidalik, what you paid him in rent. The answer is nothing.
Because he told me not to pay him anything.
Great. And because you felt as if you couldn't just live there like a bum, because you're a big, strong, strapping guy, you did some projects around the house.
Mr. Brodalla and I had a verbal contract.
No, you didn't.
Yes, we did.
Baloney.
Here, I have proof of it.
Baloney.
There's a note that Jessica had wrote to her father the night before I wound up needing to leave the house, telling him to give me the money. So
listen to me. Is that a contract between you and the defendant?
No, but
No but. There's no but. A contract is between a plaintiff and a defendant. Show me a contract that exists between you and Mr. Brodalla.
We had a verbal contract.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
I'm not the one that's lying about it, Your Honor.
Yeah, right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now, you want to tell me about the day that the police got called?
Sure. I was downstairs, and I wake up to hearing the mother of my child screaming and cursing out my little girl, saying, pardon my language, but quit. And she's holding my little girl up by one leg, so just the top of her head's touching the ground, because she wouldn't hold still when she was trying to change her diaper.
So what did you do?
I became upset, and I told her...
Tell me what you did.
I looked down, and I see dirty diapers sitting all over the floor, and I picked up the diaper, and I said, will you throw this in the trash? And I threw the diaper at her. And in between her cursing me out and yelling at me, she decided to run into her room and close the door. At that time, because of altercations we had had in the past, I decided that I needed to leave. And in the course of doing that, I told her all I wanted to do was give my little girl a kiss and that I was going to leave. But, of course, you know, that wouldn't happen.
What did you do?
I tried to get into her room, and she...
And what did you do?
I broke down the door.
That's where you go, and you broke down the door. Now, I assume she has an order of protection against you, Mr. Sidalik.
Yes, she does.
And was that an order issued with your consent, or was there a trial?
It was with my consent.
Now, you also have visitation with your daughter.
No, I do not.
You don't have the right to see your daughter under supervision?
I've seen my little girl one time.
That's not what I asked you. I said, do you have the right to see your child under supervision?
Yes.
Who gave you supervised visitation?
A guardian ad litem.
Guardian ad litem was, you know who the guardian ad litem is?
Yes.
Represents the child.
Yes.
Not her. Now, when are you supposed to see your daughter?
Saturdays and Sundays from 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock.
And where are you supposed to see your daughter?
At my next door neighbor's house.
Do you go there every Saturday and Sunday?
This last weekend, I was not able to because my daughter was not there.
Goodbye, sir. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out, sir. Out the back to you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Why don't you folks have a seat?
Mr. Tucker, you have a driver's license, sir?
Yes, ma'am, Wendy. Yes, Your Honor.
Is it a valid driver's license, and is it current?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has it ever been suspended?
Yes, it has, Your Honor.
How many times?
About 2 times, Your Honor.
For what?
Speeding, Your Honor.
You borrowed Miss Taylor's car?
Yes, Your Honor.
When?
It was February, it was on a Sunday.
Date?
February 28th, Your Honor.
Where were you going with the car?
Just going to hang out with a couple of friends, Your Honor.
Is that what you told Miss Taylor?
Yes, Your Honor.
That you were just going to hang out with some friends?
Yes, Your Honor.
You didn't have a car of your own, I assume?
At the time, I do have a car of my own at the time.
Then? Did you have a car of your own?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Why didn't you take your own car?
Because Miss Taylor came and picked me up the night before, Your Honor. She came and picked me up. She knew I wasn't going to have my vehicle.
Why didn't you have your vehicle? Why did she have to come and pick you up, Mr. Tucker?
Because I wasn't driving where she came and picked me up from, and she came and picked me up.
Explain that to me.
I was actually riding with my brother-in-law and my cousin at the time, and she came and met me at the hotel, picked me up, and took me back to her house.
And you spent the night?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And the next day?
And the next day when I woke up, she had already left the house.
For what?
I guess to go do some shopping or something.
Is that what happened?
I don't recall that, Your Honor.
So she left and took her car?
And took her car, yes, Your Honor.
And then she came back?
And when she came back, I asked if I could use her car. to go hang out with a couple of friends. She said fine. She had already handled what she had to take care of. And I told her I'd be back.
What time did you take her car to go and hang out with some friends?
Probably about 12 that afternoon, Your Honor.
What kind of car did Miss Taylor have?
Acura.
What year?
An 08 or 09.
Is that right?
It's the 08, Your Honor.
So where did you go, Mr. Tucker?
Like I said, I went by, visited a couple of friends. From there, I parked the car, caught a ride.
Parked the car where?
I parked the car at a friend's house.
Address?
I don't know the address, Your Honor.
Street?
Street? The name of the street? Honeycutt. That's the name of the street that it was on. You know.
And what's your friend's name? Don't look over there. Look at my eyes. Mr. Tucker, this is going to get worse for you, sir. It's going to get worse.
Yes,
Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been interrogated by the police?
Yes, Your Honor.
You will find that an almost exhilarating experience when I get finished with you. Friend's name?
I know his last name. I don't know his first name.
What do you call him?
By his nickname, Your Honor, Shiz.
And what's his last name? And who does he live with?
Right now, I don't know because he moved.
Oh, he moved from Honeycutt.
Yes.
So he doesn't live on Honeycutt anymore.
No, Your Honor.
But you parked her car, her Acura, on Honeycutt.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then what did you do?
Your Honor.
Hey, Miss Taylor, let me have a good time.
Okay.
Could I have a good time?
Okay. Nobody lives on Honeycutt.
Just a second.
Okay.
Just a second. So you parked the car on Honeycutt, and you went to visit your friend Scooch.
Shiz, Your Honor.
What?
Shiz.
Yes, that's what I said, Scooch. And
from there, I caught a ride. I rode around with some of my other friends. I parked the car and left the car there parked.
you left the car there.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Caught a ride with some friends, drove around. Go ahead.
Drove around. We went to a bar. From there to a club. And from there to a hotel party, Your Honor.
And?
And I was not driving. And at the time, a friend of mine was driving. I went back and got Miss Taylor's vehicle.
What's your friend's name?
Tiffany.
Tiffany was driving whose car?
Her car.
Tiffany's car.
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of car does Tiffany have?
A Pacifica.
A Pacific?
A Pacifica? It's a van, Your Honor.
Okay, and where did you go with Tiffany?
Went to a sports bar, shot some pool, went to a club, went and picked up some more friends.
What time was this now?
This is all day, probably from...
Well, from 12 noon. So what time were you finished? You were in a bar, you were in a club, you were in a hotel, you were in a motel, you were with Tiffany in her van, then you went to another club, then you went, shot some pool. That's a very, very busy day. You know, it would take me at least 2 weeks to do all those activities. Keep going.
Yes, Your Honor. And then from there, we ended up at a hotel, a little party. It was just friends.
That was 2 hotels you were at in one day.
No, Your Honor, just one hotel.
Oh, well, you told me you were in a hotel earlier in the day. I'm getting there, Bird.
Take your time.
Just actually amusing myself.
Yes, Your Honor, it's the same hotel, Your Honor.
What happened to her car?
To the car. Then from there, we went back, got the car.
Got whose car?
Miss Taylor's car.
So you mean I listened to all this nonsense for nothing? Because at some point, after you went clubbing and moteling and hoteling and pooling and scooching, you went back and you got the car.
Went back, got the car.
And?
Drove it to the hotel, Your Honor.
Drove it back to the hotel?
Yes, Your Honor.
And?
And from there, I must have consumed too much alcohol because I ended up passing out in the hotel. When I was awakened, my cell phone and the car keys was missing, Your Honor.
So Scooch must have, or one of his friends, must have taken your car and had a big accident in it, caused a lot of damage. And your defense is, I was drunk and I don't know what happened. That's your defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's your responsibility.
But, Your Honor, the insurance paid for the car. I immediately, when I found out the car was missing, I immediately called.
I'm just telling you.
Okay.
It's your responsibility. You took her property with her permission and behaved in an irresponsible way with it. Why do I say that, sir? I just listened to a litany of events where you were driving, partying, drinking, fooling around, drinking some more, hanging around some more. And then, according to you, you got back in her car and took it someplace. You're responsible, whether or not you actually had the accident in the car, which is something actually I believe you did. So does she.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
After she bleached and damaged my clothes, she sent a text message picture to my phone, which I showed a friend of mine.
Show me.
I don't have that phone anymore, Your Honor. That's why I brought my eyewitness.
And later today.
You see, you're trying to think ahead of the game, sir. You'll never be ahead of the game. All you have to think about is answering my questions truthfully. Do we understand each other, sir?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melanie Taylor says ex-boyfriend Siobhan Tucker owes for car damage, rental car fees, and emotional distress. Siobhan is countersuing, claiming Melanie bleached his clothes.
You borrowed the property. You did not return the property. It's your responsibility. You can go get Scooch and go find the phantom who stole the car. Do you understand? Now, your car was severely damaged.
Yes, Your Honor.
Nobody was ever charged.
No, Your Honor.
Did your insurance pay for the damage?
Some of the damage, Your Honor.
Your insurance had a deductible?
Yes, Your Honor.
What was the deductible?
$250, Your Honor.
So that you paid for?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything else?
Yes, Your Honor.
What?
It didn't cover the bumper. It had additional damages to the bumper and the taillight, and my insurance company would not cover it, and I'm not sure why.
Well, I don't know either. Sue the
I know
insurance
why, Your
company.
Honor.
Why?
The insurance company, because they had already mailed her a check for those damages, and she didn't get it repaired, and she spent the money, Your Honor.
Well,
that's why.
That may be, but then take that up with your insurance company. He's certainly responsible for your deductible. Anything else?
I have receipts, Your Honor, showing that I paid for the bumper and the
I don't
taillight.
care. That's a problem that you have with your insurance company, not with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Has nothing to do with the accident.
Yes,
Now, you have a counterclaim, Mr. Tucker.
yes, I do, Your Honor.
Did you bleach his clothes?
No, Your Honor.
Did you bleach or damage any of his clothes?
No, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I have an eyewitness, Your Honor. After she bleached and damaged my clothes, she sent a text message picture to my phone, which I showed a friend of mine.
Show me.
I don't have that phone no more, Your Honor, but that's why I brought my eyewitness. And she also admitted it to my eyewitness.
Well, your eyewitness can't tell me what she saw on your phone. That's hearsay.
I didn't know that, Your Honor.
That's why you come here. You get educated.
Okay.
When did she return the clothes to you?
I never received
Never got them back?
nothing. I left with the clothes I had on my back. I had to repurchase clothes.
Well, that's a good idea, because I'm sure that Miss Taylor didn't think you were going to go, put your hand down, fooling around in a hotel, in a motel, and with Tiffany and everything else when you said, I'd like to go hang out with some of my friends. You think she figured that that's what you were going to do all day and all night?
We've known each other for a while, Your Honor.
I'm asking you, do you think that that was in her mind, that you were going to be going fooling around with Tiffany in her car? I wouldn't think so.
No, no.
I don't think so. So did you buy yourself some new clothes?
Some. I replaced some.
Perfect. Good. You owe $250. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I believe that I should get way more than $250 for all I went through.
This is basically just an attempt
Just emotional stress.
to not really get the money back for the car because the insurance did pay for the car.
He abandoned me for a month and a half.
It's like revenge, like the same with the clothes, how she destroyed the clothes.
Then he came back on my job April the 23rd and explained to me what happened.
He actually busted the window out of my house. It was all types of things.
He said that he was sorry and that he promised that he would pay back the money.
You know, that's another story, so we're here for the car.
He didn't pay it back. I haven't received a dime nor child support.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Welliver versus Nichols, step forward.
Lynn Welliver is suing her former friend, Craig Nichols, for a truck loan, plus interest, and for making physical threats.
Mr. Nichols, let's start with you, sir. The plaintiff was a friend of yours. You had been friends for a while, according to what I read in your papers.
Yes, ma'am.
She was married and recently divorced. When the plaintiff divorced, she and her former husband had a landscaping business, or were trying to start a landscaping business. She decided she wanted to continue with that business. You were not employed gainfully at the time, or at least only marginally employed at the time, so you thought you might go into this business with her.
Yes, ma'am.
So far, is that a reasonable statement?
For the most part.
That's all I need for the most part. According to the plaintiff, she made a loan to you so that you could purchase a truck to be used in the business, and you purchased a truck that you put in your name. So far, is that correct?
Everything except that she did not loan me the money.
It is your claim that she made an investment in the business because the truck was to be used for the business. That's what
Which
you
is
say.
not entirely true.
That's what you say here.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. And then the business fell apart.
It did.
Who has the truck?
I do.
You have to sell it if I find that that's what happened. Because if she made an investment in the business and you did or did not put in any money in the truck.
I did put money in the truck,
You
but
did?
not
Just a second.
willfully.
Hey, listen, you're never going to get one step ahead. I know that you're thinking about what you're going to say now and how this is going to come out. All you have to think about is answering my questions truthfully. Do we understand each other, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Either she made a loan to you or it was an investment in the business.
Actually,
I'm not
to him,
speaking. Hey,
like 100%.
One more time, and I say goodbye to you, and the case is over.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lynn Welliver says former friend Craig Nichols owes for a truck loan and for making physical threats. Craig claims the truck was a gift.
How much money did you put into the truck?
Roughly $1,000.
Good. And how much money, according to you, did the plaintiff put into this truck as a business investment?
She paid $4,000 for the truck.
So you put in $1,000, she put in $4,000. So far correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you had the truck?
Roughly a year.
Now, what happens to a business, Mr. Nichols, when the business goes south? What do you think happens to the assets of the business?
Normally they would probably be liquidated.
Correct. That's very smart. That's what happens with the assets of a business. And once the assets of a business are liquidated, Mr. Nichols, what happens to the proceeds of that liquidated merchandise?
I would assume they would go to pay off the debts that the business had standing.
Or the investors. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you have, according to you, a small interest in that truck. Because according to you, you put down $1,000 as your investment in the business. And she put down $4,000 as the investment in the business. Now, why would you think that you get to keep the truck?
Well, the truck was actually a gift that was given to me
That's not
for
what you
personal
said.
and business use.
That's not what you say in your answer. You see, you're trying to think ahead of the game, sir. You'll never be ahead of the game. You want me to read what you wrote in your answer? What you swore to?
That's not necessary, ma'am. That's not necessary.
So, now, either she made a loan to you, or it was an investment in the business.
Actually, it was a loan to him,
Hey,
like 100%.
One more thing, one more time, and I say goodbye to you, and the case is over. Do we understand each other?
Yes.
One more time. Now I've warned you twice.
Okay.
It is either one of two things, Mr. Nichols. It was either a loan for the balance of the truck, or it was an investment in the business, which is what you swore to in your answer. Which one was it?
Well, initially, it was an investment in the business, but when the business didn't go anywhere, I assumed that I would pay her the rest of the money for the truck because she is my friend, and that would be the right thing to do.
I'm not interested in what you think is the right thing to do, sir. If initially it was an investment in the business, it has to be sold. Now you understand?
I understand what you're saying.
It has to be sold because that was an asset of the business, and she gets a piece of it, and you get a piece of it. Now do we understand each other? I believe you when you say that the truck was used for the business and the business did not succeed, and therefore the assets of the business have to be liquidated and shared among the investors.
With all due respect, Your Honor, the truck is in my name, so I feel like I can do whatever I want with it.
Well, I'm going to cut an order to the Department of Motor Vehicles to put her name on the title. You understand me, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you can figure out what you're going to do with this truck, because then she's going to own a piece of it. As a matter of fact, I may direct that the Department of Motor Vehicles transfer title to her, and then she can sell it and she can give you back your piece. We understand each other now, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
You get it?
Can I please
You'll
speak?
No.
Judy.
Now, you're getting the truck. I'm going to cut an order
it's
to the
actually
Department of
the
Motor
loan.
Vehicles. Listen to me. Was the truck used for the business?
No. 100% it was never used for the business. Not once. Because the
I'm
business
cutting an
never
order
happened.
that you have title to the truck, take it, sell it, and take back your investment and give him his portion.
What needs to be done is I need my money back for the loan because the truck is now not worth what we paid for it.
What we paid, you're absolutely right. That's what happens when you liquidate assets.
But the truck was never ended up being used for business. It was only...
That's what it was purchased for.
It was only an idea in the
Listen to
beginning.
me, my dear. That's what the order is going to be. You're going to get exactly what you're entitled to, which is a return on your investment. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
You do understand. I know you understand. That's what's going to happen. Truck is going to be turned over to you. You can sell it unless he wants to sell it. And if he wants to sell it, the two of you can cooperate in selling it. Put it on Craigslist, advertise it in a newspaper, sell it. You take back your little piece that you invested. She's going to take back a much bigger piece because that's what she invested in your business. We understand each other?
I understand you.
Perfect.
I don't think you've heard the full facts of the case, though.
Well, if you listen, he has a choice.
Because the
he
facts
has
say
he
that
has
it
his
shouldn't
choice.
be
Listen
based
to
upon
me.
the business.
Listen to me. It's his choice. If he wants to give you the money that you claim was a loan, which I don't think was a loan, I think it was a bit, he can do that. My order is going to be to Motor Vehicles to turn the title into your name so that you can sell it and recoup part of your investment in your landscaping business. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Your complaint, Ms. Jackson, is that Mr. Burkhalter, who was your then sometimes boyfriend, you were sometimes maybe staying at his house. He took your car to go to a store or something, and he was stopped by the police, arrested for possession of drugs. They impounded your car, and the car was not recovered from impound, and it was subsequently auctioned off. Mr. Burkhalter says he's not responsible for that because he was out doing a chore for you, buying some drugs that you had given him money for. Is that your defense, Mr. Burkhalter? That was what he wrote. I couldn't lie about that. That's what he swore to. That Miss Jackson had given you money to go buy some drugs for her, and you and your friend had concluded that transaction, and evidently it was a police sting operation. So, according to you, you were taken into custody. The car was impounded. It's not your fault because you were really doing an errand for Miss Jackson. That's your defense.
Yes.
What kind of drugs did you buy for her?
Crystal meth.
Shh, just a second. Do you use drugs?
No, ma'am.
And what's the name of your friend that you were arrested with?
Dominique?
Is he a drug user?
No, ma'am.
So if none of you used drugs, and Miss Jackson was the only drug user, she was staying at your house at the time? She was your girlfriend, on and off? So she gave you money to buy crystal meth. How much money did she give you?
She gave a amount of $35.
$35?
Yes, ma'am.
And she had to have told you where to go, because you don't use drugs.
No, she told my friend, like, when we were on our way to the store, because we stopped at a dealer's place down the street from the house. And we made the stop. My friend went in and purchased the drugs.
Just a second. Who did she give the money to?
She gave it to my friend Dominique.
Dominique?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was this lady here?
This is my niece. She was there at the time.
Oh, did she see the drug transaction go down?
No, she seen him pass the money. As we were leaving out.
Tell me your name.
Artisia.
You were in the house at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
You remember what day this was?
July 13th.
Remember what time?
Early morning. It had to be maybe like around 10 or 11.
What were you doing there?
I always go to my uncle's house sometime when I'm in town.
Oh, so you were staying there?
No, I stayed with my mom, but during the daytime, I came to his house.
In the morning, why?
We just grew up close.
And what was Miss Jackson doing there on the 13th at about 10 or 11 in the morning?
She was staying with him at the time, and I overheard the conversation of him going to the store, and she didn't want to remove her car, so she asked him.
Tell me what was said.
She asked, could you stop at my friend's house, my dealer's house, and get the drugs on you guys' way?
Did she tell him where that was?
Yes.
No, don't look over there. Look over here.
It was 13th and Street in a peach house.
Peach house?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that where you went, Mr. Burkhalter?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was driving her car?
Me. I was.
Why in the world, Mr. Burkhalter, would you go and do this errand for Miss Jackson with your niece home? Are you sweating, Mr. Burkhalter?
It's hot.
Not for me.
No.
How old are you?
25.
Any other children in the house other than you?
No.
Just you and your uncle?
Yes, and his friend.
And his friend, Dominique. Did he plead guilty to drug possession?
I really don't know.
What about you?
Well, I went to court yesterday, and they dropped the charges on driving with a suspension license and marijuana under ounce.
Did you have a lawyer?
No, just a public defender.
Well, that's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Now, who had the marijuana under an ounce?
It was in the car, in the center console.
Whose was it?
Tanika's. It was in her car, you know.
And what about the crystal meth?
When they searched the car, they found the marijuana, then they